Marine reacts to what is the day in the life of a U.S. Marine like. Now, bear in mind this video was made 2 years ago by the Infographics Show, and I'm really excited to see whether or not that the information they provide is pretty accurate or not. Now, this is a short video, so I might be pausing a little more often than usual. Let's go ahead and get started.
The U.S. Marines were established as the Continental Marines on November 10, 1775, to conduct ship-to-ship fighting and provide security aboard the fledgling United States ships of war. Since that time, they have fought in battlefields all over the world, as famously depicted in the official song of the U.S. Marine Corps, the Marines' Hymn, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Today we'll take a closer look at what it's like being in this branch of the armed forces in this special episode of the Infographics Show, A Day in the Life of a U.S. Marine.
Let's get to it.
Marine's daily routine can differ depending on whether he or she is deployed or in garrison at their home station. While in garrison though, a typical schedule...
Let's take a look here. 5:30 wake up call. Bullshit. I'm sorry, that's just a lie. That's blatant too. It's very... Any Marine, doesn't matter what MLS you're in, you're gonna know that you're not waking up at 5:30. It's more likely that they change the times when you would actually go to formation in the morning, and it would usually be, I believe at first we had it at 6, and then it would take about maybe like 15 minutes. They would discuss like kind of what the plan of the day is with the platoon sergeant, platoon commanders, and then they ended up switching it to 7 because it was cold as fuck at night, and then we actually had a pretty cool CO. But then again, that does depend. But I never really heard of anybody having to wake up at a certain time. There's no certain time you wake up. You just wake up whatever time you feel like you need to. That's going to give you enough time to actually be able to like shave, brush your teeth, get groomed, go downstairs to wherever you're going to have your formation at. And whether or not you're going to PT is going to depend on what the plan of the day is. So 9 a.m. personal time. If you're new to the fleet, you're considered a boot. You're considered new, right? And that's not going to really change until you actually end up going on your first deployment, for the most part. I don't know how it works with Marines who don't deploy quite exactly, but you're not going to really have too much personal time, at least in the very beginning. A lot of times it's going to be a lot of hip pocket classes. You're going to have this little note-taking gear, pen and paper. Essentially, you're going to be taking notes on a consistent basis. We do not form up for chow. I don't even think we did that once. Chow hall hours open. Typically, your team leaders, squad leaders are gonna really tell you like, "Hey, you guys are good to go get chow," and then you're gonna have a little set time depending on just on what parameters they set, because they might have you come back to do some training, a couple classes, and whatnot. First of all, that time at the bottom, 1 p.m. But I mean, essentially at 1 p.m. I've never seen anyone have formation, unless it was like maybe for fucking some sort of ceremony on Friday. And yeah, other than that, I mean, on Friday also maybe if you're getting off early, hopefully. But typically you're just getting a text message on your phone that's gonna say, "Hey, we're off. Tomorrow boots and utes. Tomorrow green on green," depending on what PT you're gonna do, if you do it. Which typically, when it gets cold, we don't really do it. So I'm assuming this is just maybe doctrine in a sense, like how they're supposed to do it, but nobody really does it like this. So it's already making me very question the legitimacy of this video.
Like this, 5:30 a.m. Wake up call with a half hour to get dressed. Sweet.
Nope. Like I told you, wake up whatever time you want. Just have to be at formation at the time you're supposed to be there, which is going to depend on the day.
And mop the floor of the entire barracks. Like
that part is going to be taken care of by the new guys, in this case boots, and they're already going to know who's going to do it. They usually rotate in between themselves, and they're going to do that, so they end up having to wake up a little bit earlier.
Many religious people, Marines believe that cleanliness is next to godliness.
Okay, I've never heard that in the military, but it was more of that they just want you to, they want to make sure you're paying very close attention to detail. And yeah, just be very detail oriented in everything you do.
6 a.m. PT or physical training. Soldiers fall into formations of squad, platoon, or company sizes for morning PT. Exercises vary, but typically start with the side straddle.
No, they don't. They depend on whatever the squad leader, team leader, depending on who's going to have you doing whatever workout, is feeling that day. If they feel like just doing some running, they're going to do some running. If they don't feel like working out, they're going to tell you to go do your own workout or just go back to your room and chill until you go get chow. And they say like take 30 minutes so that the higher ups don't get suspicious. And no one uses like terms like side straddle hops or fucking what's another one? Bangs and thrust or ink stick, or like nobody uses that terminology outside of boot camp. It's considered very nerdy in a sense.
Hop or jumping jacks for civilians, and like most physical exercises, are done in 3 counts. So the number done is actually 3 times higher than what you count allowed. Push-ups, sit-ups, and exercises you might remember from PE class, like the mountain climb or follow, with repetitions of 15, though they can go up to as many as 50. Next up is the formation run, as typically seen in movies, with soldiers in
They don't do that. They only do these if it's the whole company actually doing them, and it's not very often. Not very often. And this guy's never, whoever is at the very front, which would be the company commander, would not be wearing any of this. He would be wearing the exact same thing as us.
Formation, running, and singing cadences to keep
We would never sing cadences in the fleet.
pace and motivation up. These runs can go anywhere from 3 miles to 7 miles and are never slow. Back at the
Half true. Again, depends on whoever's leading it, whatever they're feeling. And as far as the pace never being slow, that is true. They'll say we're going to go on a nice little easy run. Motherfucker takes off sprinting. So, I'll admit they got that part at least.
company area, the unit engages in cool-down stretches to help their bodies adjust from much physical exertion. For those who couldn't keep pace with the formation while running, they can expect a stiff word from their first sergeant and remedial PT at night and on weekends.
They could, but I never really saw that happening at all. Or nobody was enforcing it. And pretty much nobody would really fall out of those. Maybe one or two here, depending on if it was in the summer. I was stationed in 29 Palms, so we'd get very hot, and we get people who do heat case.
At about 9 a.m., Marines break for about an hour of personal time, during which they shower, clean up, re-clean their barracks, and get dressed in their...
We do not re-clean. We clean at most maybe in the mornings every day just to make sure it's decent in case somebody does walk by, because they have our blinds at about half-mast. Cleaning, the only day we'll really clean is on Thursdays, which is field day. Other than that, though, we're not cleaning like fucking crazy as they make us out to be. When we do clean, we do, but we're not doing it this often.
Uniforms. The U.S. Marines like to keep sharp minds, so at 10 a.m. there is typically classroom training of some kind, from weapons to tactics or...
None of that's done in a classroom setting. Everyone just sits on the ground wherever they're at, and then you get a little hip pocket class. And it's always usually a different team leader or squad leader that's going to be teaching you something. You learn everything in little pieces, never a big thing. I mean, sometimes you might, again, it's going to depend on the person.
Remedial technical training on various pieces of equipment. At 11:30 a.m., Marines form up for chow. While in formation, they are briefed on what will be coming in the afternoon.
No, we're not. We'll get a text a couple minutes before we're supposed to do something. I mean, it'd be nice if they told us what was going on. Keep your Marines informed.
11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., you are on personal chow time. You eat, run any errands, or even take naps if you have the time, though you probably won't. At 1 p.m., all Marines fall back into formation. Typically, this is followed by afternoon weapons training, either on the firing range or running tactical/immediate action drills.
What on the what? First of all, everyone only does the range once a year, and that's just to requalify. We are now going to the range on a daily basis. If we do any type of training, like with these remedial classes like speed reloads or anything of that sort, or if we are working on guns, we might, or tactics or anything like that, we're going to go to the backyard, which essentially you go all the way behind the actual base, and there's a lot of open sand area where you can just fucking train like crazy. We're not doing this on a daily basis. Like, we're not going to the range every day.
Drills. Marines focus on marksmanship and can expect to spend a lot of time on the range, but it's important to know how to fight.
Okay. The 1 week you're at the range, right? In the fleet. You're going to be there the majority of the day. Like, I'm talking early, 4 to 5 in the morning to maybe 5 p.m. in the afternoon, if you're lucky. We're not doing this on a daily basis.
on different battlefields, so you can also expect to spend even more time in mock-up villages or city blocks to learn important urban combat.
Nope, we have a specific section on our training regiment. Our whole training regiment is planned out way before in advance. And if you go to the company office, you might be able to take a quick peek, take a picture of it if no one catches you, because then they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing? Game in the game" type deal. But then you'll be able to see what's coming. And there's always a section for everything. We have ID, a section that we do. We have mount time that we are gonna do, which is going like in an urban area. We got ITX, we got fucking McCree, which is where it's like a week and a half. This is the 2 longest field ops, if I can remember correctly. Every other one is like about a week long, roughly. But we're not doing urban. We're not doing this every day.
Techniques. Between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., or possibly later, the company returns weapons to the armory and returns back to the company area to fall into formation and be...
That looks like a squad bay for some reason. And we're not getting into formation every time we get off work. Like I told you, majority of the time you're just going to get a text message saying, "Hey, you're off work. Show up at this time tomorrow."
Briefed on the day's progress, plus receive any news. The CO, or commanding officer, leads the debrief and will eventually hand it off to the first sergeant, and so on down the chain until all pertinent information has been shared. At this time, you will be dismissed, typically heading straight to evening chow. Your evening time is your own unless you have been restricted to quarters for disciplinary reasons or ordered to do remedial PT. A Marine's life is one built around constant training and readiness for combat, anywhere, at any time. Their daily routine reflects this, and a strict adherence to discipline makes them one of the most formidable fighting forces on the planet. So, what do you think? Could you handle it?
I think you guys got a lot of misinformation is what I think. Very makes me question the legitimacy of some other videos. Alright, so as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff in this that's not very accurate at all. I mean, I can only speak from like an 0311 or infantry standpoint in the Marines, which is what I was while I was stationed at 29 Palms. Let me tell you about what a typical day really seemed like to us. One, you're gonna wake up, depending on whatever time you guys had formation. Some had it at 8, even some had it at 6, some had it at 7. You're gonna wake up at whatever time you want, so long as you can get ready by that time. And that's going to include just getting up, making your bed, putting blankets at half mast, although not really anybody did that. Maybe generally clean your room or make it look like nothing's sticking out, so someone passing by isn't going to see anything that's like out of the ordinary. And then you're going to shave, brush your teeth, get groomed, comb your hair if you have like scraggly hair. Get ready in whatever type of uniform you're going to be in. If you guys aren't doing PT, you're just going to be in camis. If you're doing PT, you might be in boots and utes, or you might be in a skivvy shirt and skivvy shorts. And then you're going to meet wherever you are for formation, or you get in there 15 minutes early. No matter where you're going, you're really going to be doing that 15 minutes early everywhere. So you're going to go to formation, you're going to take roll. As soon as they take roll, they're going to call in the platoon sergeants, platoon commanders. You're going to go to the fucking CO and first sergeant. You're going to pass whatever we have to do today, which is going to vary. You know, maybe we need to get people to deno. Maybe we need to test out people to get them to pick a lot on certain weapon systems. Very dependent on what we have to do that day. And then after that, platoon sergeants, platoon commanders are going to come back to us. They're going to tell us, hey, what we got to do. If anybody has any appointments. And after that, go PT. Or in most cases, we didn't really PT because a lot of the time we all went to the gym on our own time. So since we did that, if you were told, hey, just go chill in your room for like 30 minutes and then go to chow. There's no designated time as far as when you're going to be eating. You're going to eat whenever you can. So it was always a good idea to have some extra food in your room in case you couldn't make it to the chow hall. So after that, you got that in-between time, in between afternoon chow. And then you're going to have most likely hip hockey classes. You might be doing some backyard training. Might be doing some tactics like buddy rushing, whatnot. Also, I forgot to mention in the morning, if you're a boot or a new guy, you know, you're gonna have to clean the hallways. You're gonna clean common areas essentially. They're gonna be doing a lot of the cleaning mostly. And then, so going back, as soon as it starts to hit almost 11, that's when the chow hall is gonna open. So you're gonna be told, hey, go get chow. You guys got 2 hours or an hour and whatnot. And you're gonna come back depending on what they're feeling, you might just stay in your room for the rest of the day and not do anything. Or if you have some pretty decent team leaders, squad leaders, they're going to teach you some classes because they want to make sure that you're up to par and everything, right? So after that, most likely after those classes, you're not going to really be doing much of anything because it's getting into the afternoon, maybe like 2 or 3-ish. And sometimes you might get off insanely early, maybe at 12 if you're lucky, which wasn't too often. Or you might get off at 4. You might get off at fucking 8 or 9 at night if people were stupid and you all got in trouble, right? So when you do get off, though, it's always going to be in a text form usually, or you might get a senior knock on your door and tell you, hey, we're off. Formation this time tomorrow. Come in this green skivvy shirt and skivvy shorts, whatever have you, you know. And this was on a typical day. The only days that would really differ is if you're going to the field, which would be Monday mornings. You're gonna go meet at the parking lot of the armory, and you're usually gonna be early as fuck, and you're not gonna actually leave to the range until a couple hours later. And then only other days probably maybe a Thursday, which is when you're gonna do field day. Field days is a fucking nightmare if you're a new guy. You'll know why if you've been through it or if you're about to go through it. But essentially, what's gonna happen is getting close to like 2 or 3 p.m. people start cleaning the rooms. I'm talking about like you haven't seen cleaned rooms until you go to a field day or see someone just field day every little nook and cranny of a room. And yeah, you're gonna be doing that for a while. I'm talking like late at night. And then Friday is probably the only days where you really get off early, typically around 12, so about midday. As far as what they were explaining in this video, a lot of it was inaccurate, like not even close. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I kind of went off on a rant there, but you know, it's very different because there's always a way that it's supposed to be set, the doctrine way. But there's also the way that it actually gets done, and Enemy Marine can really tell you what was wrong with this video. I'm assuming that the person who gave them this information really wasn't informed well. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. Go ahead and leave a like if you liked it, leave a dislike if you didn't like it. Go ahead and comment and actually tell me if I missed anything. I feel like I covered the majority of it. I'm going to link the original video down in the description below. It is by the Infographics Show. And we're going to react to some more videos here pretty soon. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.